Alright, welcome back everybody. My name's Brenden Schultz. Today we're going to take everything we learned in the last video and move it up an octave. I've also got a backing track for you today so that we can put everything that we've learned together and then take a solo. If you happen to miss out on the last video, please check out the link above or down in the description box below. And once you're ready, we've got a bit to go over still, so let's jump right in. Now, the first part of phrase 1 in the upper register is going to feel just a little bit different than playing it in the lower register. And the main reason is that you don't have that G on a draw note where you can just release the bend like you did in the lower octave. Instead, you have to play that note on the 6th blow. And it's going to sound like this. If you find yourself having trouble with that kind of crossover when you're practicing this lick, don't be afraid to just take it slow. Maybe just work on playing those 3 notes back and forth a little bit. And then when you feel comfortable with that, move on to the rest of the lick. And if the overblow is giving you trouble, just remember the turtle thing. You're going to pull your tongue back and down. When you've kind of got a feel for that, let's move on to the second part of phrase 1 in the upper register. This one's pretty straightforward, starting on the 8-hole draw here. That overblow really kind of feels natural in that descending pattern as well. I'll play that again for you. And then when you put the whole thing together in the upper register, it sounds like this. And that's the first phrase. Now you can play it in the lower register and the upper register. Let's move on to the second one. Now the first part of phrase number 2 in the upper register is actually surprisingly straightforward as well, especially once you've practiced it a couple times. We're going to start on the 6-hole blow here, and you've got play that one more time for you. The second half starts on the 8-hole draw here. Well, I'll do that one more time for you again. And then when you put it all together, you get there's phrase number 2 in the second octave. If you have any trouble with that transition from the 7-hole blow to the 6 overblow, just kind of like we did earlier in the lower octave with the first part of lick 1, just kind of isolate those 3 notes. Just practice going back and forth between those for a little while and kind of build the reflex up. Now let's look at phrase number 3. We're going to start from the 6-hole blow again. Remember, this is basically just going up the minor pentatonic scale and then coming back just a little bit. It's going to sound like this. Notice on that 9-hole blow there, I can add that bend. Since we're missing some of the bends in the upper register, you kind of add them where you can get them. And it gives you a little bit more of that familiar bluesy sound up there. Let me play that for you again. And now, let's look at the second part of phrase number 3, and this is where it gets a little tricky. Now, if you remember, we used the 4-hole draw bend on the lower register, and that note is a C sharp. Now, in order to get C sharp on the upper register, we'd have to play the 7-hole overdraw. And for simplicity, I'm going to avoid that for today. We may go into it on another lesson. There are some really cool things you can do with it. But we're going to use a note substitution. We're going to use the C on 7-hole blow instead, because it serves a similar function in the minor pentatonic scale. But here it is. And this one gets kind of tricky, so it's definitely one that I recommend taking kind of slow at first. But once you're ready, and you've got it down. Put them both together and you get this. And there's your third phrase. Anyway, when you put those all three together, all of a sudden you've got a full blues solo that you can play in the upper register on the harmonica. And it sounds something like this. Alright, so now that we've learned all that, let's do something cool with it. In today's video, I've included a backing track that you can download for free from my Reverb Nation page. Just follow the link in the description box below. The way this backing track is set up is there's 3 choruses of blues in G. The first time through, I want you to play the solo we just learned in the lower octave. Second time, I want you to play it in the second octave. And the third time, I just want you to wing it and make up a solo using the new stuff that you've learned today. I'm going to demonstrate that here for you in just a minute, but real quick I want to show you one more useful little lick. This is a turnaround lick that's pretty easy to play in both octaves. In the lower octave it starts on the 4-hole draw. It sounds like this. Pretty simple classic blues stuff there. Now in the second octave it's going to start on the 8-hole draw. And that's that. You'll hear me use it a few times in the solo coming up, but here we go. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. You can download the backing track and a transcription of the solo by following the links in the description box below. Please like, share, and subscribe. My name's Brenden Schultz. Keep harping and have a wonderful day.